купола вышли. Направление.
Остаток топлива 600.
We have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect the headset. We'll see you on the left with the pit. Thanks a lot. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. In this one, we'll be analyzing a crash or a runway overrun, if you will, of an Su-34, this fairly ugly aubergine-colored Su-34 that's happened on the 4th of June 2015. The aircraft was from the 47th Mixed Air Force and Air Defense Regiment, based at the time at an airbase called Buturlinovka. Their main base at Baltimore, not the American Baltimore, the Russian Baltimore, was getting renovated, so they were based in Buturlinovka temporarily. It's a 2,500 meter long runway, 8,200 feet. Elevation is about 505 feet off the ground. And there's very good footage of the screens and essentially a camera facing out the front. Pretty low FPS again, probably had his mirrors up. It's still good enough for us to have a look at with the comms and everything. And as usual, I've translated everything from Russian into English and annotated everything as much as I could. And we'll try and decipher exactly what actually happened here. Before we dive into the video, it's worth pointing out a few things about this. Even if you don't speak Russian, you'll see that one of the pilots is talking to the other pilots, and it seems to be an instructor talking to a student pilot. It's a training flight. The instructor is very aggravated, agitated. He's not what I would call creating a positive learning environment. And apart from that, they're coming in quite high, about 350 to 360 kilometers an hour, and he keeps shouting speed at this the student pilot, and they're aiming, I believe, for a speed of 305 kilometers an hour, because the 305 number does get mentioned, but they're coming in way too fast. Now, we don't know what the wind was at the time. There's no thunderstorms, etc., but there's a chance that maybe it was a slight tailwind. And the other thing that has contributed here, you'll see, is the drag chutes do not deploy. They do, but very, very late. It's by the time the aircraft's almost just rolling off the end of the runway, that's when they come out. So it seems like there might be a failure going on there at some point as well. Everything happens very quickly in this video, which is why I want to just give you a little understanding of what is happening there, because I just won't be able to talk over it. It's just too much happening. You might have to pause and just replay a little bit as well, just to read all the annotations. Rita, the warning system, or bitch and Betty, if you will, in Russian aircraft, is also giving out some warnings after they touch down. So whether or not there was also some sort of failure going on, because she's shouting about AOA and over G, which doesn't really make any sense. So there might be a failure going on there at the same time. Maybe that's why the chutes didn't deploy. We're not sure. Either way, let's have a look at the tape and see what's actually happened.
505 задание в четверке.
Скорость не гони, 370. Направление. Блин, 350. Точнее. Пора, не пора, да? 350, скорость. Большая скорость. Малый газ! Малый газ!
Смотри комплексный индикатор.
32 на втором, рассчитывать с проходом.
Хорошо.
Перегрузка.
Хорошо.
Угол атаки.
Тормози.
Не вышел, тормози направление.
Угол атаки.
Полностью обжать педали.
Тормози, тормози,
Смотри
тормози, тормози.
комплексный
Полностью
индикатор
обжать педали.
самолетной
Направление,
системы.
тормози.
Тормози. Торможу, торможу.
Два купола вышли. Направление.
Остаток топлива 600. Угол атаки перегрузка. Скорость предельная. Отключи кондиционирование.
Alright, so what can we learn from having watched that video? Well, I think there are two main factors that contributed to this crash. One, the chutes didn't deploy in time. But the second one, or probably the most important one I think to take away from, and probably the real key as to why this has happened in the first place, is no go-around. The pilots came in hot and high, which happens sometimes. Nothing wrong with that. That happens. It happens to everyone. Or it happens to the best of us. But there is no reason to be committed to this landing. You would have probably seen at the very end, Rita gave out a warning of 600 kilograms of fuel remaining, times 2.2 for pounds, to give you an idea. So there's a lot of fuel remaining in this airplane to go do another go-around, or even a couple of go-arounds, if needs be. And there was no thunderstorms or anything like that pressuring them, so there was no need to commit to this landing. They touched down a little bit late. They came in way too fast. And the main thing is, I believe the reason they've done that is because the instructor pilot is completely incompetent at doing his job. He is aggravated, annoyed. He is not creating a positive atmosphere. As a student pilot, when you have somebody like that, you're just never going to feel confident in your abilities. Perhaps you might be a little bit apprehensive or scared to call a go-around as well. To me, this is a complete lack of CRM, crew resource management. The two pilots need to be working together, but they just weren't able to, because how can you work with somebody who's screaming at you about your speed and just not being helpful in the slightest, right? The whole idea of being an instructor is that you are able to rectify situations like this and make students learn from them. Now, ironically, he probably has made the student learn from this, because this is what happens, right? But this all could have been avoided 100%. There's no question about it. I think the instructor he just shouldn't be allowed to do his job. Now, you get people like this in aviation, thankfully few and far between. But you get them everywhere, and it's just not just the Russian Air Force. You get them in civil, military. When you're doing your private pilot license, people like this exist, unfortunately, and I believe they have absolutely no right to be in the flight deck, certainly no right instructing in the flight deck. So I hope lessons were learned from this. Thankfully, neither of the pilots got injured here. The aircraft got sent away to be restored, which is why you see a picture of it getting loaded onto an AN-124. It returned to service later, but not into the same regiment. It went to a flight research institute somewhere in Russia, so I believe it became sort of test aircraft. And I really hope that they've taken the opportunity whilst they were restoring this thing to paint it in the really nice blue camo, not this horrible aubergine. I don't know, whoever thought of painting these airplanes like this, they just need to be shot. Anyway, I think we're going to call it a day on this one. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please smash the living daylight out the like button for my efforts in annotating and bringing this video to you and translating it into English. Hope you have enjoyed it indeed. And for now, that's it from me, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.